Those scratches weren't there before. This is definitely the demon, no doubt about it.
You're wrong, you know.
Okay, I'll admit, I was a little uncertain before, but now I know for sure this is a demon. That's exactly what a demon would say. Are you kidding me? Can you imagine if he was just like, oh, dang, you got me, bro. Stupid ass demon. Hey, what the hell, man? Now you're just being a dick. Just wait until I roast your ass, I swear to God. Yeah, burn, you piece of shit. Not so tough now, are you? Recently, I've noticed that we are soon to be in somewhat of a resurgence in the horror genre for video games. We're getting the Resident Evil 4 and Dead Space remake, another Dark Pictures anthology, the Callisto Protocol, and another Outlast game, along with a host of other titles by smaller developers. I personally hold the belief that the AAA horror genre as we knew it is dead, and the candle of horror is alive solely in the hands of these smaller budget developers. But that's a topic for a different video. Today I'd like to talk to you about the Mortuary Assistant and MADiSON, two horror games set on small fixed maps filled to the brim with detail and atmosphere, yet only one of them succeeds in being a memorable horror experience. So the first step to any winning recipe for a horror title is its focus on atmosphere and immersion. The wild success of IPs like Slenderman and Five Nights at Freddy's have shown that story is only really of small importance within the horror genre, which is why The Quarry was complete garbage. Press this button to watch a movie because we dropped out of film school and had to settle for a video game.
You shot me.
I'm telling Mom.
I paid $70 for this. Atmosphere, pacing, and fear via gameplay is what drives this genre. And while both of these games do a great job at world building, their approach to fear via gameplay creeps over into downright frustrating at times, yet the experience in both are different, as one title is able to make sense of the frustration and blend it into its narrative, while the other just pisses you off. Why can't I break one of these windows and just fucking leave? I have a hammer and you want to get out of here? Hello? The Mortuary Assistant is about a business owner who refuses to pay a night differential and instead chooses to bait and switch a new hire into working a schedule she didn't sign up for. This guy is the true horror of this game, okay? You play a recovering addict trying to live your best life, but the only job you could find is under a guy who sends you home early only to call you right back in several hours later with zero notice. Ugh, this computer training is the worst part of a new job.
You'll die here.
What?
What was that?
I didn't say anything.
Reminds me of when I used to work for Whole Foods. The animations are a little awkward and it's prone to its fair share of bugs, but I had a lot of fun with this gameplay loop. I actually kind of wish there was a regular job mode where you can just experience the process and maybe delve deeper into the realism of it all. Brian Clark, the developer for this game, really did his homework here.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll talk about them all, but I got all sorts of fun blood draining devices, and this one is for closing mouths. These are called eye caps. They're essentially spiky contact lenses that fit over the eyes and will actually grip the eyelid when we pull it down over those little burrs there. We actually use what's called a trocar, and I have one here. It's a hollow point spear, essentially, and it hooks up to what we call an aspirator. So it's a vacuum, essentially. Insert this in the abdomen, and then try to puncture all the hollow organs, and then the vacuum will actually draw out all those nasty fluids.
The goal of this game is essentially to identify the vessel of a demon and burn it before it manages to possess you. I think one of the reasons I really enjoyed this game is because at one point in my life I really wanted to be a medical examiner, and I loved shows like NCIS and Bones. What's great is that if you've ever met anybody who works in the field of the dead, you'll know that they tend to be very professional and take their jobs really seriously. So while it is hilarious to see the protagonist of a horror game realistically react to her situation,
Hello? Nope. New job. I'm getting out of here. I don't care how long I went to school. New career path. Fuck this.
I feel like if you put Ducky or Brennan in this situation, they'd just be like, listen, this is extremely unprofessional behavior and I need you to take this seriously. The core gameplay loop is very investigative. You are cramped between the feeling of being a novice and working unsupervised as you struggle to remember what the fuck you're supposed to do next, but also needing to maintain a keen eye for detail to actually succeed in this game. So badly do you want to just close all the doors and work to beat the game, as every time you stumble around these halls, the game will continue to torment you. This is why multiple playthroughs, with multiple endings, is encouraged in the Mortuary Assistant. The frustration you will experience in this game will come from the fact that you never quite leave the tutorial section. One of your most valuable tools is this clipboard, which gives you step-by-step instructions but is considered a large item and you have to put it down sometimes in order to carry the other items. And having this clipboard makes sense from a narrative standpoint because again, you are brand new to this job. It's like your second day. The natural learning curve makes sense and it syncs in good harmony with the fear the game is constantly suppressing you with. It's kind of like if you're playing the game Operation, but every time you try to remove the funny bone, you're hit with a jump scare or your parents start fighting. The map is small and compact, so a lot of the fear comes from subtle changes or distractions that make the player feel like you're losing your mind, just like the actual character you're playing. Nope, I do not like this photo. Brian, if you base this photo off someone you know in real life, please encourage them to reach out to their birth hospital and ask if they offer a lifetime warranty, because holy fucking, the very moment you boot up the game, it encourages you to contact your local priest if you start feeling like you're being haunted. The frustration makes the game scarier. Having to turn on a light you know you didn't turn off, needing to leave a body unattended and out of sight, even just having to pull the gurney backwards and not being able to see what's behind you instills the player with a sense of uneasiness that makes its jump scares feel earned when they happen. Most of them are pretty telegraphed. You can tell when one is coming, but when it hits, you've been on high alert for so long that it still succeeds in startling you. Frustration in horror games walks a very fine line. If you genuinely have no idea what you are supposed to do next or how to do it, all of the tension and suspense the game has worked to build up instantly evaporates. The mortuary assistant has the clipboard to keep you grounded, but MADiSON's idea of a clipboard is forcing the player to constantly have a laptop open with a walkthrough on because its logic makes no goddamn sense. Of course I had to take a picture of the door to unlock it because that's how doors work.
Hey, are you tired of real doors cluttering up your house where you open them and you actually go somewhere and you go into another room? Get on down to Real Fake Doors. That's us. Fill a whole room up with them. See, watch. Check this out. Won't open. Won't open. Not this one. Not this one. None of them open.
By contrast, MADiSON is a completely different experience. This game feels like it was made by 3 different teams who never communicated. The gameplay, atmosphere, and story feel constantly at odds with each other. And despite it being published by a game company whose name is the word blood combined with the name of a movie series whose plot makes about as much sense as this game does, I do have a few nice things to say about this game, okay? One day I'll make a video about this. Remember when physical editions used to come with booklets, maps, maybe even a code for an in-game item instead of just being a disc with nothing else? Or worse, a box with a fucking code in it? MADiSON's physical edition actually has some care behind it. It was only about $40, yet it came with some DLC, some pictures from the Demon's OnlyFans account, and this cute little storybook starring Bloonies the Dick Nose itself. A long time ago, there was a creature whose name was unknown. It had always lived alone and was often seen on its own. What the fuck, is this my autobiography or some shit? One freezing frosty night, it begun to feel so very somber that it fell into a 2-day slumber. Now beware those fleeting eyes and make sure to turn on the light, for your own sight is at stake if you cannot escape. The game kind of throws you right into it. There's not a real tutorial section here. You will wake dazed and confused in a dark room and just get started. This is a common tactic used in a lot of games that I refer to as artificial helplessness. The game is essentially seeking to separate itself from you, to give you the feeling of being totally alone so that it can start to mess with you as you try to figure out what the fuck is going on. Resident Evil 4 is a prime example of this done right. The game doesn't outright tell you, hey, you just gotta survive for a predetermined amount of time until the bell rings. The bell doesn't dismiss you, Leon. I dismiss you. It just throws these horrifying Spaniards at you and your natural instinct is to just fight for your life. At the beginning of MADiSON, the game hasn't even introduced you to its logic yet and already it's confusing. Okay, so I need a nail to hang this picture of my grandpa, but it's literally nowhere in this room or outside. Oh, of course I should have known the nail would be embedded into the grandfather clock that appeared out of thin air because that's where Grandpappy kept his spare nails. Duh, stupid. Our lives were forever changed when the dementia took hold of you. So many of these horror games are trigger-based, where things don't actually happen until you perform a certain action. This is fine until you spend 15 minutes wandering around a hallway before finally giving up and pulling out a guide to press the narrative forward. No amount of world building or suspense can stand up to the immersion-shattering feeling of not knowing what to do next. And that was my main problem with MADiSON. Wait, that looks like the answer to a puzzle. Can I actually retake that photo a little closer this time? No? Fuck me then. Alright, cool. The whole time I was playing this game, it felt like my little brother refusing to let me into his imaginary playhouse because I didn't know the imaginary password that he never gave me. It's a game that feels like it doesn't want to be played, but admired like shit-ass The Quarry.
What these are. Can't say that I've used them. A little too au naturel for me, TBH. You know, I've never thought about where the waist goes. Oh, please God, no.
Calculated frustration, in my opinion, is such a difficult tool to use in video games. Gameplay-based frustration, as seen in Dark Souls, gives you this rush when you finally take down that boss after an hour or more of trying. And story-based frustration, as seen in games like The Walking Dead, specifically to Kenny and his family dynamic, get you more invested in the narrative. It makes you care more about the world and the characters therein. But if it goes too far, it makes you feel like the game is asking you to do chores before you're allowed to have fun. The Mortuary Assistant pulls it off really well, in part because it's short, sweet, and has interesting mechanics, whereas MADiSON just made me quit.
If it's not fun, why bother?
Let me know how you feel about frustration as a mechanic and your experience with it in horror games. Have you ever been so turned off by a video game's mechanics alone that it made you quit in spite of its story or world? Be sure to hit me up in the comments. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.